How a pet rock scam built a billion-dollar empire. What if I told you the most successful toy of 1975 wasn't a toy at all? It was a literal rock, sold in a box, for $4. This is the story of a joke that its creator didn't think would work. A story about clever words, bored people, and the one thing everyone was willing to buy in a pretty rough decade. A little bit of happiness, even if it came from a stone. So, who was the mad genius behind this? Meet Gary Dahl, pronounced Dahl. Gary was an advertising guy. And one evening in 1975, he was listening to his friends complain about their pets. The chewing, the barking, the mess. And Gary, maybe after a drink or two, said the fateful words. It was just a bar joke, a throwaway line, but it stuck in his brain, because Gary lived in the 1970s. And let me tell you, the 70s were a lot. Gas lines, inflation, political scandal. People were stressed, cynical, and really needed a laugh. Gary saw that. The advertising part of his brain woke up. What if? What if the joke wasn't just a line? What if you could actually buy the perfect pet? So Gary got to work, but he didn't start with the rock. He started with the story. He wrote a 32-page training manual. And this manual is the secret sauce. This is what turned a stone into a sensation. Let's look at the product. First, the rock itself. He got rocks from a building supplier. He designed a box that looked like a pet carrier, with air holes. Of course, rocks don't breathe. But the idea mattered. Then, the manual. It was all delivered with a completely straight face. He was selling an experience, a private joke between him and the buyer. You weren't buying a rock, you were buying in on the gag. He took it to a gift show. The buyers for big department stores took one look, and they ordered $500,000 worth. Gary was shocked too. The joke was working. Now he had to actually deliver. He needed a factory. Then, the media found it, and they loved it. Johnny Carson made jokes about it on The Tonight Show. News magazines wrote about it. It was the perfect, silly story to break through the bad news. And just like that, it wasn't a product anymore. It was a phenomenon, a status symbol for being in on the joke. The money started pouring in. We're talking $15 million in just 6 months. In 1975, Gary went from a guy in a bar to a millionaire rock mogul. But here's the thing about selling a joke. Everyone eventually gets it. The problem was, the pet rock had no legs. It couldn't do tricks. You couldn't collect different versions yet. Once you got the joke, that was it. Plus, the 70s were also the era of fads. Remember mood rings, platform shoes, disco. The public's attention was a spotlight, and it was about to move on. And then, the copycats attacked. Pet pebbles, stick pets. Every business saw the easy money and tried to grab a piece. They flooded the market with cheaper, worse jokes. By Christmas of 1976, the magic was gone. The fad was over. So, was it a scam? Let's think. The scam implies you got nothing. But people who bought a pet rock, they got a great story. They got a laugh in a tough time. They got to be part of a cultural moment. Gary Dahl didn't sell a rock. He sold cleverness. He sold satire. He identified a feeling cynicism and a need for joy and packaged it perfectly. The real lesson isn't about rocks. It's about value. Value isn't always about what a thing does. Sometimes, it's about what it means. Gary understood that the experience, the story, the marketing, that was the real product. He made millions because he didn't just see a stone. He saw a blank slate for a feeling America desperately wanted to buy. So next time you see a silly, simple product going viral, don't just ask, what is it? Ask, what are they really selling? Comfort, a joke, a sense of belonging. Because sometimes, the most valuable thing you can package isn't a feature, it's a feeling. What modern pet rock do you see out there? Tell me in the comments. If you learned something today, give this video a like. It helps the channel grow. And subscribe for more stories about the bizarre, brilliant world of business. Thanks for watching.